Hi there. We are going to do some practice movements. Not sure if they really feel much like poses to help with balance. And all the time I have people ask about balance poses and what they can do to improve their balance. And some of these things will seem sort of unrelated to balance, but I think they will really help you. And I figure we can all be scientists and try it for a while and see. If it's not helping your balance, try something else. The first one is this stretch called the calf stretch with the foam roller. If you don't have a foam roller, roll your blanket up. And use that. It's a lot squishier than a foam roller, so it's not going to give quite as much stretch. So what we do is we have the right foot, I'll show you sideways, the right foot on the foam roller, probably toward the left edge of your foam roller. Heel is on the floor. You can keep your left foot back behind, or if you want, you can step it more forward. Got it? So just stand there and breathe. This will probably be a bit of a calf stretch, or maybe a lot of a calf stretch. Lots of ways to vary this. You can internally rotate your legs so your toes point in. You can externally rotate your legs so your toes turn out. One of my current favorite variations is to bend the back knee. I find if I bend my front knee, it helps. Breathing, excuse me. And release. Let's go ahead and try the other side. So put your left foot on the foam roller, probably over toward the right edge. You can have the other foot back behind or even, or out in front. If you're really, really wobbly, hold on to something. We don't want you to fall over. All right, so hang out here and breathe. Notice if this side is different than the other side. And I think I suggested on the other side, you could internally, where your toes turn in, or externally rotate your leg where your toes turn out and do this. So you can do it multiple ways. If you're out walking in the neighborhood, you can put your toes up on a curb and put your heel on the ground and do a very similar stretch, or on a tree root or a rock. Bend both knees, maybe just the back knee. My brain and body need me to bend both knees to make that back knee want to really bend. That moves where you feel the stretch, at least for me it does. I feel it more in the top of the foot on this side, on this leg. On the other leg, I feel it more on the outside of my shin. Good. And release. Awesome. Scooch that out of the way. This next one is the Pelvic List. This I learned from Katie Bowman and Michael Koffel of the the Move Your DNA crowd, nutritious movement people. Ooh, the top of my head is almost out. But I want to stand close enough toward a surface so I don't fall over. So if you were doing this at home and this is new, have yourself lined up so you can have your hand on a wall. The first step in this is to stand on your right leg on a block. If you have a big foot, bigger foot than mine anyway, you want the heel on the floor, on the block, and the toes, if they're longer than the block, to be off the front of the block, or use a super big block or 2 blocks or whatever. So we're just going to stand here on the block and try to keep our pelvis level and keep that left foot, it's not touching the right foot. We haven't popped the right hip out. But we're keeping the pelvis level and the left foot level with the right foot, even though it's not on a block. Good, release. Try the other side. Stand here. Your right leg is even with your left leg. Good. And you will notice one side might be different than the other. Generally, one side is weaker than the other. Even if you don't have an injury or an old injury, sometimes one side's just not quite the same. Good, release. Okay, so we're going to come back to the first side. We're going to add a little bit of movement to it. And if this is really hard, if that first step is really challenging, do that first step every day or every other day for a couple weeks, and then move on to the next step. You have time. You don't have to do everything today. So this next step, we stand on the right leg, left foot is level with the right foot, and we're going to drop, which really means, I kind of think of it as relaxing the right side of my pelvis without popping it out, and then we push that foot back into the block. Yeah, kind of relax. Try not to touch the floor like I just did, and then come back up. And I think these pretty quickly start to feel like work, you know, like you're doing your PT homework. Good. Let's try the other side. And we're just doing, you know, maybe 5, I think I just did on that side. So remember, line yourself up, drop, and then pull it back up. And we're trying to do the work, feel the work on the outside hip of the standing leg. You might actually feel it all the way down your leg. You might feel it in your hamstring. It's funny, I think of this side as my weaker side, but it's easier to do this on this side, but it gets tired quicker. So I think that was about 5 on this side. Good. And then the last standing one we're going to do is this horse stance, which is not really in my scope of practice. It's really a Tai Chi kind of move. And but I've been talking about this book that uses a lot of Tai Chi sort of movements to build balance and strength. And so the feet are just a little wider apart than your normal, than my normal, like mountain stance. Knees are bent. If your knees don't like to bend, just bend them a tiny smidge so you start to activate those leg muscles. But your pelvis and your upper body are neutral and upright. And he recommends, George Walker, I think is his name, that you work up to being able to hold this position for 15 minutes, which is a really long time, I think. Looking at my clock over there. Breathing. You might think about not all the way in your heels, but he talks about the point, It's actually an acupressure point, bubbling spring, which is on the bottom of the ball of the foot, kind of right in the middle. I think we're pretty close to a minute. And replace. Good. Shake it out a bit. And then another, I know, I'm probably getting carried away. Another good practice to do here, mostly because I felt like I wanted to stretch out now the backs of my legs, is this stretch at your desk or back of your couch or whatever. And you want to try to get your tailbone to lift. So there's kind of the cat movement we do, where you round your back. And then there's the dog movement, where you lift your tail. Good. To make this stretchier, you could have the balls of your feet on a block, on a half foam roller, and the heels on the floor. Good. Release. If that hurts your lower back at all, of course, don't do it. And then the very last one I want to show you is the knee squeeze, which we have been doing in class every week lately. And so for the knee squeeze, you need a block or something else. If you don't have one, be creative. And we're going to have the block between the knees, the skinny way or the medium way, right? I like the skinny way. Good. Feet are on the floor. Squeeze the block with your knees, right? That's why it's called the knee squeeze. And then check your posture. Have you really flattened your lower back and tucked your pelvis? If you have, untuck it. You want to have that neutral lower back curve, neutral pelvis. And then the next step is to squeeze the block and to pick the feet up off the floor. If that's too much, go back and just squeeze the block with the feet on the floor. The third option is feet off the floor and the legs move apart. I'm turning a little more sideways here so you can see better. So I haven't moved my pelvis. I haven't rounded my back, right? That's a whole different movement. You want to be here. Good. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And release. Good. Come back down. Grab your block. Stretch your legs out. And feel how it feels. That's it. Try it. Let me know how it works.